The jungle was no longer just a wilderness, it had become a predator, watching every move they made. Kim Woo-bin and BAE Suzy, two of South Korea's most beloved stars, were no longer actors in control of their scene. They were prey, navigating a merciless stage, with danger lurking behind every vine and shadow. And now, facing off with a jaguar, that danger had a face. The beast's golden eyes glinted in the filtered sunlight. Its muscles rippled under spotted fur, each step calculated, every breath controlled. Suzy felt the air thicken around her, her lungs refusing to inhale. "Don't run," Woo-bin whispered, stepping in front of her. His voice was a blade, sharp, deliberate. "Stay behind me. Slowly back away." But backing away wasn't an option. The jaguar had already lowered into its hunting posture. Its tail flicked once. Twice. Then it pounced. Woo-bin swung a thick, jagged branch he'd picked up instinctively. It cracked against the jaguar's shoulder. The beast landed, stumbled, but didn't retreat. Instead, it roared a guttural warning. Suzy screamed and dove behind a fallen tree as the jaguar lunged again. Woo-bin ducked and stabbed the branch forward, jamming it into the animal's path. Suddenly, the beast flinched and retreated, not out of fear, but due to the sudden screeching calls of monkeys overhead. Something about the sound spooked the jaguar. With one final, piercing look, it slinked into the underbrush and vanished. Suzy crawled toward Woo-bin, heart pounding. "You okay?" He exhaled slowly. "I think we just survived a National Geographic episode." Suzy stared into the trees where the jaguar had disappeared. That wasn't nature. That was war. They had no time to rest. The encounter had shaken them, but they knew one thing: they had to move. Woo-bin's eyes caught something shimmering below the cliffside, a river. "We need to get down there," he said. "If we follow the current, we'll find civilization." The descent was treacherous. The rocks were slick, and the angle sharp. Suzy's ankle throbbed with every step. Halfway down, she slipped and cried out. Woo-bin caught her mid-fall. "I told you to let me carry you," he said, gritting his teeth. "I don't want to slow you down," she whispered. He turned, fire in his eyes. "We're not doing this alone. We survive together." Against her protest, he hoisted her onto his back. Step by agonizing step, they descended. At one point, a stone dislodged and tumbled down, nearly triggering a rockslide. By the time they reached the bottom, their clothes were torn, their hands blooded. But the river glistened before them, wide and alive, stretching into the unknown. As they followed the riverbank, Woo-bin noticed footprints, human ones. Nearby, a strip of neon fabric was caught on a bush. "That's rescue gear," he said breathlessly. "Someone's been here." It was the first sliver of hope they'd had in days. Excitement gave way to urgency. They picked up speed, following the trail. But hope was a double-edged sword in the Amazon. Because not all signs of life meant safety. A distant, unfamiliar rumble echoed through the trees. "Is that thunder?" Suzy asked. Woo-bin frowned. "No, that's water." Suddenly, the river swelled. A flash flood, the aftermath of storms upstream, rushed toward them like a charging herd. "Run!" Woo-bin shouted. They sprinted, but the ground was unstable. Mud sucked at their shoes, and vines whipped against their legs. Within seconds, the water slammed into them. Woo-bin was yanked backward and disappeared under the waves. "Woo-bin!" Suzy screamed, diving after him without hesitation. Underwater chaos swallowed her. Branches scratched her face. Her leg caught in a root. Panic gripped her chest. Then a hand. Woo-bin surfaced, coughing, and pulled her free. They washed ashore on a rocky bank, coughing, shaking, clinging to each other. "I thought I lost you," Suzy said through tears. "You won't," he replied. "Not while I'm breathing." Night fell. The jungle glowed with eerie beauty. Fireflies danced around them, their lights weaving through darkness like spirits. They sat by a small fire Woo-bin miraculously managed to spark using a broken camera lens and dried moss. Suzy leaned her head on his shoulder. "Do you think people are looking for us?" "I hope not," Woo-bin said quietly. Suzy turned. "What?" He looked at her, face illuminated by firelight. Because I don't want to be rescued before I tell you what I feel. Silence. I almost died twice today, he continued. The only thing I could think about was you. Not our films, not fame. Just, you. Her eyes shimmered. I've felt it too, she whispered. Ever since the crash. Maybe even before. But this, here, stripped of everything. It's real, he finished. They sat there, wrapped in silence, the kind only two hearts in sync can share. Dawn broke with urgency. They began walking again, following a narrow animal trail. As Wu Bin stepped forward, he suddenly dropped to the ground, groaning. Suzy rushed to him. What happened? A thin wooden dart was lodged in his thigh. Her heart stopped. A poisoned trap. He winced, teeth clenched. I triggered something. Don't move, she said. You'll speed the venom. Suzy tore off her sleeve and tied it above the wound, trying to slow the spread. She dug through their makeshift pouch, found a crushed herb she remembered as anti-inflammatory, and chewed it before spitting it onto the wound. Stay with me, okay, she whispered. You're not leaving me now. Wu Bin's face was pale. His breathing shallow. She kissed his forehead. Please don't go. Just when her despair reached its peak, figures emerged from the trees. Painted skin. Spears. Silent footsteps. The indigenous tribe. One of the elders approached and studied Wu Bin's wound. Without a word, he gestured to two men who lifted him with surprising care. Another took Suzy's hand and motioned for her to follow. Fear warred with trust. But she had no choice. As they vanished into the jungle once more, Suzy gripped Wu Bin's hand tightly. They were taken to a hidden village. Huts made of leaves and bark. Smoke from fires. Children playing. It was a different world. Wu Bin was laid on a bed of woven grass. The tribe's healer, an elderly woman with a face like carved stone, placed herbs on his wound, whispered chants, and tied ceremonial beads around his leg. Suzy watched, helpless, until another woman guided her to a small hut. She washed Suzy's face, gave her a bowl of soup, and offered fresh bandages. For the first time in days, Suzy felt safe but not at peace. She sat beside Wu Bin, holding his hand through the night. He stirred in the early morning, eyes fluttering open. You're still here, he said. I always will be. The next day, the tribe's elder summoned Suzy. Through a translator, the elder explained they had found the crash site. Their ancestors had protected these lands for centuries and had seen such accidents before. But the elder warned, the jungle tests those it finds worthy. You too were chosen. But not all who are chosen survive. He gave her a carved medallion. Take this. It will guide your spirit back, even if your body is lost. Suzy bowed respectfully. The jungle was more than just wild, it was alive, aware, and watching. 2 days later, with Wu Bin recovering and Suzy's ankle stronger, the tribe prepared them for a return journey. They would guide them to a satellite post, where a rescue signal could be sent. Before leaving, the elder told Wu Bin, you were a protector. You fought not with rage, but with heart. That is rare. Wu Bin bowed deeply. I just wanted to keep her safe. The elder smiled. Then you already passed the jungle's test. As they left the village, Suzy looked back at the children waving. She felt a strange sense of sorrow. I'm going to miss them, she whispered. Wu Bin nodded. Me too. After a brutal trek through tangled vines and rivers, they reached a small outpost with a rusted satellite dish and an emergency transmitter. Wu Bin adjusted the device, powering it up using a hand crank. A blinking red light signaled their message had been sent. They waited. 2 hours later, the rumble of a chopper broke through the sky. Rescue. They were airlifted out, wrapped in blankets, embraced by medics, cameras flashing in the distance. But neither of them smiled. They held each other's hands tightly, their bond forged in survival, stronger than anything fame or fortune could offer. Back in Seoul, the headlines screamed. Kim Woo Bin and BAE Suzy survive jungle nightmare, an unbreakable bond. Their secret journey, their silent love. They declined interviews. They donated to Amazon Conservation and launched a private foundation to protect indigenous tribes and endangered wildlife. In a quiet, candlelit restaurant weeks later, They finally went on their first real date. No paparazzi. No pressure. Just them. You think people will believe what we went through? Suzy asked, sipping tea. No, Woobin said with a smile. And that makes it even more special. She reached across the table, took his hand, and whispered, "We survived something no one else can understand." He leaned in. Then let's never let go of it. Please subscribe for more exclusive updates, dramatic celebrity tales, and the stories behind the stars you love. Stay tuned.